All right. Obtaining and disseminating information effectively. Okay. We have to discuss information, how to obtain, how to disseminate this effectively before we proceed to communication for various purposes. Now, why? Because the first stage of cognitive learning or process is obviously obtaining information. All right, we have to obtain that information, and then we have to process that information so that it would be stored in our memory. Okay, so that's how cognitive process works. No, we obtain those information, we process it, and we store it. Storing is vital because we are, if we store it in our memory, then we would be able to access it once we need it, no? During when the situation calls for it, right? So basically speaking, of course, everything that we learn from the outside, no, externally, we put it in our memory. And if we need it, then we can apply what we have learned, apply that knowledge, that information. Okay? As simple as that. See, cognitive process involves obtaining information, processing it, and storing it in the memory to be accessed again. Okay, just like what I've said. All right. So, when it comes to disseminating information, uh, it is equally important. Now, please remember, in every area, to be able to influence people's behavior. Now, we have to become aware of that new idea or product or services, which is being disseminated now. All right, which is being disseminated, or um, yeah, which is being disseminated or shared. Okay, now what are these ideas, no, or products or services? This can be in different types. Okay, the kind of information that we receive each day. Okay, this can be context, no, content, or meaning, right? Three types of information in our everyday lives. Context, andun na yung keyword. We have, that's the big picture. Okay, that's the big picture. When we talk, how do we talk about it? Okay, how do we talk about it? I think it's pretty much self-explanatory. Okay, yung how is, we might be talking about the same topic, but the context is different. Okay, we might be talking about the same subject rather, but the context, no, is different. How we talk about it is different. Okay, we have to look at the big picture. Content, of course, this is the details. Ito na yung literally what are we talking about. All right? And then the meaning, okay? Meaning is the impact, okay? Which means what's the essence of that information? Okay? What is the essence of that and how will it affect us, no? In our lives. Okay? If it will be useful, then where can we use it? Right? So that's the impact. Okay? Any questions so far? Easy busy. Okay? All right. So we can now proceed to characteristics of information. Someone typed in chat. I couldn't check the chat, guys. When I am on full screen, I couldn't open the chat. I'm not sure why. Uh, I'm not sure why. Can someone tell me who wrote and what did she write? Okay, please try to use the microphone then, okay? Because I'm having technical problems. I couldn't access the chat if I am sharing on the full screen. All right. So, characteristics of information, these are pretty much self-explanatory. So, let me just read them, no? And let's just brush through them very quick. First, relevant information is capable of making a difference in making a decision. Okay. Again, if it's relevant, then it can be used in our lives. Of course, then it can be used in our, especially in decision making. So then it would really be able to, it could really be able to make a difference, right? So pretty much self-explanatory, as I've said. But just remember, relevant dapat. All right. Valid information is more in-depth information that allows greater insight. Okay. It should be, what's the keyword here? Valid. Okay. It should be valid. Dapat na validate nyo na yan if it's right or wrong, correct or not. Okay. Valid information. Okay. What else? Reliable. Reliable information is authentic, consistent, infallible, or information that suggests consistent dependability of judgment or result. Okay. Basically, it should be reliable. Okay. And dyan na yung the factor of truthfulness, right? So it should be authentic and reliable. Okay. Again, it's somehow connected, no? Dapat a while ago, valid, no? Na-validate nyo so that you can rely on that information, right? Factual. As I've said, truthful dapat. Factual information is something documented, okay? Established, confirmable, supportable, sustainable, verifiable, lahat na ng ball, di ba? Indisputable, irrefutable, and so on. Okay, unquestionable and undoubted. What does this basically says? Okay? All of this ball. Okay, anong ibig sabihin yan? Can you explain this in some few words or phrases? Even two words will do. Okay. So what can this mean? Factual information is something documented, confirmable. Okay. Can you explain in other words? Who can do that? Come on, so you don't just, be spoon-fed, no? Dapat you also have to be critical, process. So may cognitive process na tayo dito. What I say, you process it. Okay? What I share to you as information, you process it in your memory, in your brain, and what do you make out of it? Okay? So, ano to? In basically saying, kung verifiable siya, kung confirmable siya, kung documented siya, it means information dapat,
Ma'am, basically, it's the truth or the fact. It's real, something like that, ma'am.
how can you say it's a truth or the fact? Excuse me.
Ma'am, it cannot be documented without evidence. It cannot be established without foundation. It's not confirmable if it wasn't surveyed, and it is not supportable if there was no support, and it cannot be sustainable if there wasn't anything that supported it, and it
Okay.
cannot be.
Sabi ni Renz na support, may support. Okay, I think Noven was raising his hand. Would you like to add something to that?
From the yung factual na word,
Mm-hmm.
from the word factual, with the word fact, puro meaning, lahat po ay, lahat ng mga information na pinapakita is, katotohanan lang, ma'am. And factual information, ma'am, yung mga non-explanatory po.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, may katotohanan, yes. All right. So, may katotohanan. Then I would ask again, how did you know that? How would you say may katotohanan siya?
Ma'am, may just like what Ren say, ma'am, na may support or mga
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Other word for that? Support or just like in journalism, yung mga journalists, no? If they share news, dapat, yes, Julia.
Ma'am, source?
Yes, okay, dapat may source. Alright, so it is factual, it is confirmable, verifiable. Of course, you have to verify that from the source. Okay, you have to confirm that to your source. Okay, and that's a documented one. It's a documented um evidence, let's say, no, or proof that information is again all these bull thing. Okay, verifiable, everything. Irrefutable, okay? Unquestionable and undoubted. Of course, pag walang source, it's questionable. Okay, that's basically it. So, dapat may source, may support. Ayan. Okay? Alright. So, we have here, you already know this, no? Elements of information. It should be accurate, complete, no? Consistent, unique, and timely. Okay, like let's say it's relevant now because it is what's happening now, no, that's what's the meaning of timeliness. Okay, is it clear? All right, so very quick lang to. Our focus is later on sa various purposes. Okay, ways of obtaining information. Okay, we have some ways here. I'm gonna present you some ways, no, number of ways where you can obtain information. It can be interviewing first, no? Let's first go with interviewing. Um, of course, you've done that. Have you done interviewing in your researches before or projects? Have you done that?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Okay. Really good. No? Of course, you already know that in essence, your goal is to, of course, know or discover more facts from a person who is credible. Okay. Credible to uh share that information or facts. No? So, of course, you already know how to conduct a good interview. Okay. But let's just quickly discuss that. I believe it's not here. There, it's there. Okay, so interviewing, you have to prepare carefully. Okay, you already know that. You have to maintain professional attitude, of course, because um, it's not a talk show, diba? Hindi siya interview in a talk show, no? So dapat professional pa rin yung attitude mo. I'm not saying, of course, that what is in every talk shows are unprofessional. Of course not. What I mean is professional is that you know the register that you're gonna use. Remember, we have formal, right? Formal and informal registers. Okay, so if you know that the situation calls for a formal register, then you have to, of course, use that register. That's one way of maintaining that professional attitude, right? Okay. Probe naman tayo. See, everything that you are learning are connected. No, I hope you remember still, no, yung register. Formal and informal registers. Okay. From your midterms, I believe, right? That was during your midterms. Okay. So, next, probe. Probe naman is, what does it mean? What do we mean when we say probe? Probe is of course, you prepare ahead, diba? You prepare some questions ahead, but probing is when you wanted to know more information. Okay? Because probably your interviewee already answered that, but you want to know more, then you ask follow-up questions. That is now probing. Okay. You know when to add follow-up questions. You are flexible. Okay. When, for example, you do not fully understand a response or when an answer is vague or vague or broad, not clear, then you want to know more specific or in-depth information, then you have to probe. It's a skill now. You have to carry the interview to make it really specific, no? Record, of course, we know that. Dapat naka-record yung mga interview because, again, as what we've said, dapat all your information is factual kapag documented. So it's part of documenting your source. Tama ba? you already know this. It's just a review, not these concepts. It's a part of documenting your source. Dapat recorded lahat ng interviews na gagawin nyo because of course one day if um if for example you have a really good research or information that you can share, of course people will ask who is your source, what is your source. Then of course you have to present that source with a tangible or physical evidence or documentation. So yun na, we have to record it. Because if wala kayong recording nung interview, people can just say you just make it up. You just made it up, right? So again, remember this. And I know you all know that. Observing and testing. Okay, this is watching intentionally in order to discover the elements in a situation. No, it's basically placing yourself in the situation to observe, no, and record your observations as well. Okay, and in this kind of obtaining information, everything no should um be based on facts, based on what you have just seen. Okay, it's just basic facts, no other imaginations involved. Okay, or in other unverifiable informations involved. Okay, you're just merely observing. You just write what you've observed. That's just it. Next, surveying. Okay, surveying. Uh, did you all did a research when you were in senior high? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you've done surveys na rin, for sure, right? Did you do surveys?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, yeah. So basically, you already know this in essence, no? It's a it's a process or method of collecting data from, of course, you have to define that group of respondents. Sino ang respondents nyo? You have to somehow limit your respondents as well. So you already know, no? You are to collect data from only this group of people, specific group of people. And then, of course, that's basically it, surveying, right? So, next. Oh, that's it. Any questions so far? I believe, yeah. Any questions? Hold on. Let me just check. I think we are missing some few slides. Yeah. Ah, okay. All right. My name is Place. That's why I was like, what? Why is it end? I still have some. All right. Let me get back to sharing my screen again. So far, questions?
None, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So let's proceed to information dissemination. Okay. We've already obtained information and this time we are to disseminate information naman. Okay. We have to disseminate them. Of course, it's just the spreading of information. Basically means it's spreading of information, knowledge, opinions widely. Okay, you have to take note of that. Widely to a certain person, people, or to a bigger group of audience. No, with the purpose of you want to influence people's behavior. Okay, right, so that they will adopt or at least become aware of new idea, product, or service which is being disseminated. Okay, so again, it's either later on, we will elaborate that because it's somehow related to, of course, the various purposes of communication. It's either to inform or persuade, diba? May ganon. So, you will know that later on. So, again, just take note, information dissemination is spreading of information to wider, no, group of audience. Okay? All right. So methods in disseminating information, just a review because some of these you already know from last meeting. We have news release. Okay. News release is written or recorded communication directed at members of who? The news media. Okay. It's directed to the news media so that this news media will announce that. Okay. Okay. So news release. Parang press release, right? You call a press, 'di ba? Paano ba, how does press release work? You call for press. For example, the president, yeah, magpapa-press release. Okay, so then they will call all the members of the press, no, different media outfit, no, news media outfit. So they will gather in this hall, and then of course from there dun na sila gagawa ng news. Okay, somehow the same with news release, but this is without, it's not, it's written, it's written or recorded. Okay, do you get the difference of news and press release? I hope you don't get confused. No, press release, you go physically, reporters, journalists go there physically. Okay, press release, no, gather. News release, for example, let's say of course, office of the president just announce something, no, then they would send it to the different members of the press, different news companies, then sila na yung gagawa ng news about it. Okay, written or recorded communication. Please remember the difference. Blog is a regularly updated website or web page. I'm so excited because you're going to be doing this as your activity. Okay. It's not vlog, ha? Hindi siya yung, hello, please subscribe to my channel. Hindi ganyan, ha? It's not the vlog, YouTube vlog. Blog. Okay. Who are still using or reading blogs among you guys? We don't sorry, we don't realize or notice it, but sometimes when we research something and we are directed to a web page, that's already blog. Those are bloggers who document or write about those kinds of topics. So that's a blogging. Okay, it's regularly updated in that website or web page. No, so sometimes it's typical. It's run by an individual or a small group. They just keep writing and regularly post those information. Okay, sometimes informally or in a conversational style. Right. So you'll be doing this. You are to make a blog, a blogging article one in a LinkedIn. No, do you all have your LinkedIn account? If not, then you can make one. Okay, this is again related to the next topic, to the next module, which is communication for work purposes. So I will connect the two. Now you are to write a blog, and later you are to post that in your LinkedIn. Nice, right? And I want to make sure, kasi that everything I would ask you to do, you will be able to apply that in your life, or you will um, be able to use that in real life in such a way na andyan, it's existing. For example, your resume, you're already done doing that, right? Your CV, then you can still save that for future reference, for future usage. Okay, save that. Don't throw it. You will use that later on. No, pag graduate nyo, you just have to tweak or edit something. Like for example, naging cum laude kayo and all these things, right? So you can just add it there. No, so yeah. And then later, yung link it, it's very important when you are going in your own respective careers na, no? Ngayon, Facebook lang tayo, no? But when we become professionals, LinkedIn, no, is really an important social media page because we can connect with other professionals as well in the same field or in the field that we want to venture in. You can connect with those people. Very it's a very good social media page, but I'm not, of course, somehow promoting it, no, na yeah, but just for the usage, no, I'm just trying to say it's nice to have one, especially in the future, no, when you become professionals. All right, emails, you already know that it's electronic mail distributed electronically, okay, and you use that for sure. So there, text message, yeah, we've discussed last time, no, disseminate through ano ba? For example, calamities, right? During calamities, we have this information dissemination through text messages. Okay? Yung update during calamities or typhoon. Social media, networking, or social media website. Ayan. Okay? You can also get some information there. Right? But again, be careful ha, because um uso ang fake news. Okay, again, we have to verify information because we have to be aware of what is true and what is not. No, kung ano yung mga fake news dyan, we have to be aware of that. Okay, who uses Twitter? No one uses Twitter. Okay, I sometimes turn to Twitter, especially during Corona, during pandemic, those times. I wanted to know both sides, no? What's the update? Because those times, diba, nag-lockdown, all the countries are closed, you cannot travel. And then I really wanted to travel to Germany, no, to visit my um partner that time. So I was tuning into the updates from then spokesperson. Who's the spokesperson that time? Harry? Tama ba? Harry Roque? Okay, so I was following his Twitter account and then meron pang mga ibang officials. I think DFA, I was following DFA then, Department of Foreign Affairs. And then in Germany, I was following yung European, uh, what do you call this one? Ano na nga yun? Yung Euro, basta yun, yung committee na yun, who's in charge of these rules, no? Because they propose to have exemption, okay, that they want to let the partners enter the country. Kasi, of course, it's not tourism, it's love, diba? Yung mga ganun, love is not tourism. So, these are sometimes not yet newsworthy, no, to be published in newspapers or, because it's still developing, no, hindi pa final. So I was trying to gauge what's the update now between two sides na. And those times Twitter was really my ano ba, parang it's the page that I'm using to get updates right away. Okay, so these are some of the instances or situations where you use social media, right, to obtain information, and of course, these people to disseminate information. Okay, public service announcement. Of course, it's a message in the public interest, kaya nga public service. Okay, in order for without charge yan ha, it's free without charge. So they want to serve the public, and then their goal is to raise awareness, change public attitudes or behaviors, no, or address a social issue. Okay, when did you see this? Every time, right? Of course, during, for example, calamities, during COVID, ang daming nagsilabas ang COVID public service announcements, right? Okay, so PSA. All right. We also have last door to door, and then community meetings. Okay, door to door. It's somehow on the side of sales or marketing, advertising, ganyan, 'di ba? It's a canvassing technique, no? Nagka-canvas para, no, in order to inform or announce. Again, as I've said, for sales marketing, so in order to sell or advertise a product or service to the general public, or of course gather information. When do you see this? Have you had some people knocking on your door getting some information? Yeah. Example? Can you cite some example? Ano na ngang tawag doon? Some people asking for your ilang residents sa bahay and so on. Have you had people knocking on your doors?
Census, ma'am.
Census, yes. I was trying to look for this term. Okay, good. Yeah. Of course, at some point, 'di ba, yung mga nagsisensus, right? They knocked on your door asking name, residence, how many, and so on. So this is a part of, it's an example of door to door. Okay. Lastly, community meetings. It's a small group method, no, of collecting information from community, no, from community members. Okay. It, it is used to provide, let's say, a directed, no, but highly interactive discussion. Please take note. Please write that it is highly interactive, no, because it unlike small group or unlike focus group, let's say, yung focus group is um more formal. Okay, yung focus group more formal. Yung community meetings, it's more interactive at mas malaki, it's larger group. Okay? Of course, members of the community. Pag sinabi nating focus group, it's just, you limit it, no, to a very small number of people because you are focusing on something who are specifically like this or who specifically have these characteristics. But community meetings, it's larger, varied, magkakaiba, but your purpose is to have an interactive discussion. Okay? Any questions so far? No, then we can go and proceed to communication for various purposes. Right. So, ano kaya itong various purposes? And so we have just an overview, no? You will have module 8 as communication for various purposes. The next is module 9, communication for work purposes, and the last one is communication for academic purposes. Okay, so you have for work, for academic, and for various purposes. What are these various purposes? Okay, so first purpose, we have three, no? I'll be giving you three. First is informative communication. Of course, by the word itself, the main purpose is to inform. Okay? Right? Informative communication. Can you help me read this, Nuven?
Informative communication generally centers on talking about people, events, processes, people, or things.
Oh,
The
sorry.
main goal for an informative speech or expository communication or writing is to help explain a specific subject, thus increasing the audience's knowledge and awareness of the topic. Informative messages attempt to present an objective, that is, truthful and unbiased view of the topics being considered.
Thank you so much. Okay. Last na. Can you read this?
Informative speeches can cover many subjects as long as they can be discussed without persuading or altering the perceptions of the audience. Examples: informative speeches, presentation reports, informative essays, and visual aids.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much again. All right, so we go back to that first slide. Again, informative communication, other word for that is expository communication, okay, or expository writing. So please remember, it generally centers on talking about people, events, and so on. Okay, so the main objective of that is to inform, thus increasing audience knowledge and awareness. Okay, and since your main objective is to inform, dapat, again, objective, truthful, at no bias. Okay? Yung mga information na i-share mo. Okay? Or that you are going to share. Again, main goal is to inform. It should be unbiased and truthful. No bias. Okay? And here, important is it is not to persuade or alter perceptions. Okay? Again, the goal is to increase knowledge nga. So, you don't try to persuade. Okay? Example, informative speeches, presentation reports, informative essays, and visual aids. Now, in a simpler, let's say, everyday setting, when can you cite some examples when do you use informative communication besides these few examples? Can you cite some situations, scenarios wherein you deliver or you give informative communicate wherein you use informative communication? Anyone among the group? Some simple ones lang. Again, your main objective is to inform lang. To inform lang. You do not persuade. So can you cite some examples besides these ones here? Noven? Okay, si Noven ulit. Alright.
Ma'am, just like what you're doing, ma'am, you're informing lecture, ma'am, you're teaching us.
Good. Correct. Okay. That's good. Tama. This is one of your what is one of the practical examples, let's say. No, I am informing you. This is already an informative communication. I am not adding, no, some I'm not persuading you to think of other ways, no, because then that would be problematic. No. Okay, unless um it depends, no. It depends on the topic, of course, but the general, yung context natin is I'm informing you. Okay, remember context, content, no? If my content is how to not give a bad presentation, of course, let's say, you can say, Mom, it's like you're persuading us to give good presentation, so it can be persuasive. But yes, but the context, that's the content, but the context is it's in informative communication because of course I'm here to inform, okay, you guys, what are the negative ways of presenting. Okay, so again, good example, teacher. All right, what else? What else? Anyone? Practical examples lang naman. So you don't have to think so much. No, when when in your everyday lives, when do you give some simple information? When your classmate did not attend the class, and you're there to inform her what did you discuss and what are your homework. So that's already informative, right? See, I told you, very simple lang. Anyone else who can give besides the vet. How many are we? 18. O, sige. Iisa-isahin ko kayo.
Ma'am, isang example is preaching po sa church po.
Preaching. That is a bit of a persuasive siya, I guess. Preaching sa church. Informing. Yeah, okay. Let's look at the context. Okay. Yes. Preaching sa church. Of course, you preach the words of God. Yes. So it's you inform. Okay. What else? That could be a bit debatable, but yeah. It's the context of informing, of course, inform and share the words of God. Yes, okay. All right. What else? Thank you so much, Renz.
Ma'am, demo.
Demo. Anong demo yan? Pag product demo, hindi iba na. Iba eh.
Ma'am, seminars po.
Seminars. Okay, all right. Yes. Julia, tapos ka na ba?
Ma'am, pag ano po, yung katulad po sa barangays, ma'am, pag may ano po, vaccination, ma'am. Parang nag-a-announce po sila, ma'am, ganun po.
Okay, yes. Catherine was that Catherine? Was raising her hand.
Ma'am, parang po sa company 'pag may meetings po parang gano'n po. Nagpe-present po ng information po.
Okay, if presenting, no? Kasi if you say companies, mga companies, of course, it's different. If you're presenting a new idea or a business proposal, then that's gonna be persuasive. But if you're presenting the sales for this month, let's say, then you just present the facts, no? Yung numbers, kung ilan ang sales nyo this month. So that's informative. Okay? So now you see, diba? Even if same environment, sabi ni Catherine, company, if you have to make it more specific, because then in company, there are so many different ways of communicating, no? Of communication. We have persuasive, informative. You try to use that. Okay? So depende na lang kung anong talaga yung mas specific na context or situation. Thank you so much, guys. I like it. See? Janeline. Okay.
Kapag sa training, ma'am.
Training, yes, of course. Tama. You train. Dapat yung ano yung tinitrain mo, yun talaga yun, by the book, right? That's why you're training them. No? Good. Thank you so much, everyone. I like it. Mas mabilis tayo kapag mas maraming active. See, I don't have to ask one by one. Okay. Next. Eto na. Okay, so we have information communication arises out of three deep impulses according to Osborne. Okay. First, because we seek to expand our awareness of the world around us. Of the world, sorry for that typo. We seek to become more competent. Okay. Then we have an abiding curiosity about how things work and how they are made. Okay, that's why we want to um be informed of all these things around us. Okay. Now, when preparing for an informative exchange, ask yourself the following questions. Is my topic noteworthy to be considered informative? Okay. What do my recipients, readers, listeners, audience already know about the topic? Okay. And then what more do they have to know? And am I knowledgeable enough of my topic to help my readers, receivers, audience understand it? Okay. Because your audience, if they are there, for example, you're giving a talk or yeah, a talk or something, they're there to know more about something. Okay, they they want to know more or to be aware of something. So you should be knowledgeable enough about your topic. Okay, next. Persuasive communication. Ayan na. Okay, persuasive communication. We have, can you help me read this one? Irene.
Persuasive communication. Any message that is intended to shape, reinforce, or change the responses of another or others is an art of gaining fair and favorable considerations for our point of view. Generally, persuasion refers to such communicative activities that are mediated.
Okay, thank you so much. There's more. Okay, you can read this one.
Number one, it provides a choice among options. Number two, advocates something through a speaker. Number three, uses supporting material to justify advice. Number four, turns the audience into agents of change. Number five, ask for strong audience commitment. For examples, research and businesses proposals, persuasive message.
Thank you. Okay, so persuasive communication, eto na. Eto this time, we intend to shape or reinforce or we intend to change the response of other people. Meaning, meron na ditong personal bias, okay? With bias because you want the audience to believe what you're saying, no? To consider your point of view, to believe your point of view, and to side with you. Okay? Yan na yung persuasive communication. Dito na po mapasok yung persuasion. Okay? Persuasion, eto na yung what is persuasion? Please write that down kasi it's not here. Persuasion, this is, you push. It's an act of pushing across an idea. Okay? You push an idea to people, you convince the people or readers to support now the idea that you want to convey. Okay? That's a very important part of discussion of today's discussion. You have to write that down. So again, you push the idea and convince people or your readers to support the idea that you want to convey. Okay, I think that's a skill. This is a skill you know, you should be strong enough to convince other people, but at the same time, you have to be soft enough to sound and be relatable. That's really a skill, not the skill of persuasion, right? What's the most common or most obvious example of persuasive communication? We have here research and business proposal, but there's this, if you are looking at the everyday life, what is the most obvious example?
Ma'am, pag nagpapaalam po,
Pag nagpapaalam na,
kunwari po, lalabas ma'am, gagala, ganun po.
you persuade your parents to allow you, tama ba? Or to give you allowance.
Ma'am, parang pinapersuade mo po sila na pumayag, ganun po.
Okay. All right. What else, Catherine?
Ma'am, mga advertisement, mga newspapers po, pag may mga reports, ay mga news po, ganun.
A news, it's not to persuade. News is to inform, but you said something. Meron pang isa. What was that?
Ma'am, yung advertisement po.
Advertisement. Good. Janeline?
Yung mga nagbibigay po ng flyers.
na nanghihikayat po na bumili sa products po nila.
Yes, okay. So somehow related sa sinabi ni Catherine, was that you earlier? So yun nga, it's selling. Okay. Selling is the most obvious example of persuasive communication. Right? Now we have here informative versus persuasive. Let's cite some, let's different, let's differentiate the two. No, of course, you already know somehow the differences, but this is a more elaborate explanation. Informative speaking instructs, explains, describes. Persuasive speaking changes audience attitudes, beliefs, behavior. Informative speaking gives something to the audience. Persuasive speaking gets something from the audience. Gets you? Informative speaking tells them. Persuasive speaking sells them. Informative speaking, information can persuade. And sa persuasive speaking, persuasion can inform. Very nice, no? What's the difference? Do you know? Do you understand? Information can persuade, and sa persuasive, persuasion can inform. It's really strong definition, no? It's very, wow, oo nga, no? You get this kind of um reaction to this. Correct. So that's a quick, no? Bullet points on some differences, some of the differences of informative and persuasive. Let's go to argumentative. The last, no? The last one is argumentative communication. Argumentative communication. Please help me read this, Janeline.
Argumentative communication. Argumentative is a social process. It's not simply reciting claims and restoration, rather it is supporting, modifying, or defining position accordingly. Aims to gain adherence from an audience. Example, debate, court hearing, argumentative speaker.
Okay, thank you so much. I guess that's it. So, yeah, so argumentation, argumentative, eto na, it's from the word argument, 'di ba? What is an argument? It's not to fight, ha? It's not argument, no? Away kayo ng boyfriend, girlfriend mo. It's not that one, that kind of argument. Argument is now a logical and it's a reasoned way to demonstrate one's point of view, belief, conclusion, or position. It's a logical. Remember that, okay? It's logical and reasoned way, no, to demonstrate your point of view, no? That's an argument, okay? In argumentation, sabi dito, it's a social process. You need to make a claim. You need to defend your claim. How? By supporting with facts and evidences now from different and credible sources. Please remember that. Okay. If not, you can just go back to this part of the video because most of the things that are going to be in your exam are in this area, in this latter part na that I am sharing to you. Okay. So, again, argumentation, you need to make a claim, defend that claim by supporting facts, no, from credible sources. Okay, there, that's it. And your aim is to gain adherence from an audience. Okay. What happens here now is that you want the audience to know that what you are presenting or your side is better. Okay. There are two sides, or yeah, sometimes there are some options, but then your claim, you want your audience to think that your claim is better. Okay. For the persuasive naman, you might ask me, diba, ma'am, what's the difference of persuasive and argumentative? First, may dalawang speakers. They're presenting their claims, okay? But another difference is that for persuasive, you want your audience to to think that your product or your service or your whatever information that you want to share is the best. No, yun lang. Okay? But for argumentative, you want your claim, you want your audience to think that your claim is better than the other one. Okay? Gets? Is it clear? I hope so. Yes? Is it clear? That's why you look at the example debate. So there's another one. You have another speaker. Court hearings. Anong meron dito? Two lawyers, right? Trying to say that, they're trying to defend their client, whether guilty or not guilty. Okay? So that's the difference now of persuasive and argumentative. Clear tayo? If clear, thumbs up lahat, no? Clear? Good. Okay, I hope so because, yeah, I hope so. Again, it will be part of your exam. Now, you have to know the essence of it so that if I present some examples or situations, you would know which kind of communication they use in that situation. Janeline, do you have a question?
Ma'am, what about yung research defense? Sa argumentative po ba siya?
No, that's persuasive. Research proposal, you mean?
Kapag nag-defend na po, ma'am.
Of course, that's here. Research proposal. Kasama na dyan ng during your defense, tama ba? When you face the your panelist.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's persuasive. Okay? Because you're trying to convince now the panelists that your proposal should be accepted. It's not like you're trying to what do you say? Compete with other groups. Saying na your proposal is the best. It should be. Okay? Alright, so research proposal. Good. It's nandito na siya. Yung defense, it's part of persuasive com. Okay. Good. You can still ask some more. Any questions? No questions? Sorry, I cannot see the chat. I cannot open the chat box. I don't know why, but is there a question there? Can someone tell me?
None po, ma'am.
Okay. Sige. Right, then let's proceed to speaking of public speaking. Let's say yung debate nga and yung debate, diba? From there, we can see that people, no? We can see how people use public speaking to make their ideas public, no? To share, to influence, to persuade, all these things, no? So let's look at the let's look at public speaking, the act itself, okay? So public speaking, please take note, no, it's the act of making your ideas public, somehow self-explanatory, right? So it's public speaking. But guys, when we say public speaking, we don't just talk about famous public speakers like who are the famous public speakers. We have, do you know Nelson Mandela, Franklin Roosevelt, Martin Luther King, these people. No, they're not just the people we're talking about when we say public speaking. Okay, public speakers. Public speaking also has to do with you as well. Okay, even if you do not plan to become a president, so let's say a preacher or crusader, no, for any cause, at some point you need or at some point the need for public speaking will happen or will touch you sometime in your life. Okay? But you might think, yes, no, just talking to people, it's already public speaking, no? I'm not talking about everyday conversation you have with your friends. Let's say, for example, no, that's a bit different, okay? Just imagine na lang. Imagine yourself telling a story to a friend, okay? That's one. And then imagine yourself telling a story for, let's say, to a group of 7 or 8 people. Okay, then it's a little bit different now. And then imagine telling that story to 20 or 30 people, diba? So you can see as your size of the audience grows, the more you find yourself adapting, no, to the differences between conversation and public speaking. Okay. Now I'm gonna write this because I think it's not in the uh PowerPoint. So let me check if you can see my annotation. Okay. Can you read my annotation? Can you see it?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. So, ito na yung mga sinasabi ko, no? Adapting to the differences. What are those differences? According to Lucas, no? 2015, diba? I cite my source. Public is more highly structured and public speaking rather. Public speaking public speaking requires more formal language. And number 3, public speaking requires a different method of delivery. Okay? Right. So, please remember that. Lucas 2015. Let's cite the source. It's not me, no? Hindi ako nagsabi niyan. Right? So, ayan. No? The more your audience increases, no, yung how many number, the more your audience grows, you also grow to adapt these differences between conversation to public speaking, because public speaking is more highly structured. You use more formal language and you use different methods of delivery. Okay, and speaking of different methods of delivery, eto na. Okay, are you done copying? Everyone finished with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then I can erase it. So, eto na, methods of delivery, because we talk about requires different method of delivery. What are these methods of delivery? We have first manuscript speaking. Okay, manuscript speaking, eto na, it involves reading your speech word for word from its written form. Okay, you have it's there. You're in the paper. You read it word for word. Okay. The advantage of delivering this kind of speech is that you can perfectly plan and control the wordings of your speech. Okay? Because you already read it there, no? And then you have already probably practiced that as well. So, planado lahat. The disadvantage is it prevents conversational delivery style. Okay? Do you understand that? Nagmumukhang monotone, no? Hindi na yung um let's say wala na yung non-verbal characteristics. For example, yung tone niya nga, as I've said, nagiging monotone because you tend to just read the whole speech, no? Para ka nang nagbabasa ng libro na monotone. Walang conversational style. Okay? Right? Uh, what else? Exemptions, for example, yung mga sanay na, like let's say actors, speakers, no? Yung mga sanay ng speakers talaga. News reporters, ayan, sila yung mga may manuscript because they have teleprompter. Ngayon, di ba, teleprompter na, no? Nandyan na. Yung mga hosts sa pageants, they have this um, script. Okay? So, sanay na sila. That's why nagiging conversational yung style nila. Okay? Nagiging natural, in other words. Okay? So, right? Next, memorize speaking or memorize speech. At a night involves committing your entire speech to memory. You memorize the whole speech. Now, this time, advantage is that it enables the speaker to maintain eye contact with the audience throughout the speech. And one disadvantage, not everyone has time to memorize. Ang hirap i-memorize ang buong speech. Grabe, no? You have to memorize it. Gosh. What else? What other disadvantage can you think? Of course, we all know, no? We agree to the advantage of it. You make eye contact, you are able to move your hands freely. No, you are able to go around the stage more freely if you are speaking on stage. What are the disadvantage? Can you cite some? Jeneline?
Pwedeng makalimutan, ma'am.
Yes, correct. You tend to forget. And then usually because you've spent a lot of efforts memorizing the whole speech, usually baka ma-mental block ka and then baka mahirapan kang bumalik, no? Mag-adlib or mahirapan ka nang bumalik sa nasaan na ba ako because you memorize it so much, then hindi ka makapag-adlib because you're trying to go back to saan na nga ba? Ano na nga? You're trying to remember where to continue from that memorized speech, no? That's a very good example. Okay? You tend to forget. Next, what else? What else? What other disadvantage? Pag memorize. Monotone din to, for sure. Kasi, um, yeah, monotone din siya because, uh, you're trying to deliver it from your memory na yung speech, 'di ba? So baka may tendency maging monotone ka din. What else? Neven?
Kung minsan, ma'am, sometimes po if memorize po yung sinasabi is parang mabilis po yung the way speak po. They tend to speak so fast, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. You tend to speak very fast kasi memorize na. Nawawala na yung relatable or conversational style. Then, this one is a machine gun style. It's called machine gun style. Okay. Nagiging mabilis na ratatatatatat, no? Wala na. Dire-diretso mo na lang sinasabi yung na-memorize mo. Okay? Very good. Thank you so much. Okay, next, let's move on to impromptu speaking. Impromptu speaking, ito na yung presentation of short message without advanced preparation. Okay? Kayo ba to when you are asked to give impromptu speaking? Okay. Nice, no? So it's the one that you're asked to deliver with little or no preparation. Advantage of it is that it's spontaneous and responsive in an animated group context. Mhm. Disadvantage, the speaker is given little or no time to contemplate the central theme of your message. So sometimes you tend to maybe miss that central theme. You're not able to make that central theme of your message, or you go away to that central theme. Okay, that's a disadvantage. So can you cite some everyday, let's say, simple scenarios in life or everyday situation where you are asked to give impromptu speech?
Ma'am, recitation.
Yes, recitation, but yeah, but recitation is somehow different from impromptu speech because again, as what we've said, public speaking is more structured, diba? It's different from recitation wherein you just recite your answer. Okay, so my structure, meaning you probably have introduction, you have greeting, no, like good afternoon, my dear listeners, my dear audience. Thank you so much for being with us today. I am given the opportunity to speak about something or to congratulate the bride and the groom and to deliver this toast. And so I would like to raise our glasses for the something something, no? To wish the bride and groom um cheerful and happy married life. Thank you so much. That's an example of impromptu speaking. I've never tried actually, so I don't know what to say. But an example of impromptu speech is when you are to give a toast, diba? On special occasions. Okay? If you have that, then if you've done that, wow, really good. I did. I was given a task. No, I tried. It was really short notice, and they asked me to give a toast speech, and I did. I did actually once. I don't remember what I said, but yeah, I was asked. So that's one example of impromptu speaking. Anything else? Any more examples? You greet everyone.
Try introducing yourself po or self.
Yes. Okay, self-introduction. Correct. Hi everyone, my name is your name and I'm a volunteer. Something something. That's an example of impromptu speaking. Okay. All right. With regards to the recitation, yeah, pwede rin. Yeah, I think so. Going back. Yeah, it's also impromptu because you're given little or no time. Yeah, pwede rin. In simple context. Okay. Uh, yeah. So yun nga, advantage, it's spontaneous and responsive. So you get that if you nailed it, if you are able to handle it, then you get that kind of conversational tone, no? Okay. Uh, don't worry because here are some guidelines, no? No, for example, in the future, you're asked to deliver impromptu speech, then you have to follow these guidelines. Okay. First, take a moment to collect your thoughts and plan the point that you want to make. Kahit na little time pa lang. Kahit na little time lang yung binigay. Just structure it in your brain, no? Yung intro ko, ano ba intro ko? Okay, tapos yung main message ko, ito dapat. You have to make that central message already, the central theme, and then yung conclusion. If you have that in your brain, kahit ano na then you can just spontaneously go with the flow, no? Go as you speak, go as you open your mouth, no? Because you have that structure already. Intro, you know your body and central theme, and then you close. Okay. You can part of your intro. You can also say you can also thank the person for inviting you to speak. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for that wonderful question. Yung mga ganyan, diba? Okay. Deliver your message, making your main point as briefly as you can while covering it adequately and at a pace your listeners can follow. Make your main point as briefly, you know. Okay, it's somehow related to the last one. Again, thank the person again for the opportunity to speak. Once again, thank you so much for this opportunity. Have a great day, everyone. Stop talking. Okay. Stop talking. Remember, huh? Impromptu speeches are generally most successful when you keep it brief, when they are brief and they focus on a single point. Because otherwise, since you are given little time, pag dagdag mo pa yan, magiging paikot-ikot ka na. You'll tend to be like, circling all around. And then, because you are given little time, you're not prepared to make so many points, right? So, magiging unrelated na minsan yung sasabihin mo and all these things. So, remember to keep it short. Okay? Concise, short, brief. Impromptu speeches, successful yan pag short. Remember that. Last, you have extemporaneous speech. It's a speech delivered with some prepared structure, no? Such as notes or outline. You outline your speech na. no, but is otherwise delivered off the cuff, no. By using notes rather than a full manuscript, extemporaneous speaker can establish and maintain eye contact with the audience time to time and assess how well they are understanding the speech as it progresses. Okay, so you have it's not a manuscript, but rather a guideline. Yung note, you have your note on your hand or podium, and then ano lang yan, parang yan yung outline ng speech mo. When you know which part na, you go back to you go back to looking at your audience, and at the same time, you are able to um assess if they are able to understand what you're saying so far as you progress, 'di ba? And since you have the outline already, ibig sabihin you have prepared what it means, no? What is it all about? Okay, so hindi ka na mawawala. And again, you have the outline. That's why hindi ka talaga mawawala, right? So, usually, ito yung um, pinaka-okay sa lahat, right? So, because nga, what we've said, it's so outlined. You have your outline, your guide, but you still connect with your audience. Okay? So, when asked to give, sorry, naulit ba siya? Okay. Ano, naiback ko pala. Okay. Advantage, it promotes the likelihood that you, the speaker, will be perceived as knowledgeable and credible. No? Your audience is likely to pay better attention to the message because it is engaging verbally and non-verbally. Non-verbally because you're able to maintain eye contact with them time to time. Okay? If you have a speaker na lagi lang nakatingin sa manuscript, it's not engaging, right? Everyone can agree to that. Okay? The disadvantage naman, it requires a great deal of preparation, okay? Sobrang mas mahabang preparation yan, mas mahirap because you have to really master your topic, okay? So please go over these key takeaways later on. These are just what we have mentioned, no? Basically yung definitions ng mga yan. Now, I would like to end our discussion today, no, by leaving you with some time-tested ways, no, from Lucas. How to beat nervousness when giving a speech. Remember, every public speaker, kahit professional pa yan, they all experience being nervous on stage at some point. They have stage fright. Some have stage fright, okay? So, all, no? Walang sino man ang hindi nervyos at some point of their life when they're asked to speak in front of so many people on stage. Sorry. So, eto na. From Lucas, sabi niya, key is to acquire speaking experience. The more you speak, no, to other people, you start now, for example. The more you speak to other people, the more you gain confidence and the more you learn how to properly talk in front or to other people. Ayan, nagsimula na sila Nuven. No, they're active talking in class. So, kung sa class pa lang, you cannot speak up. Paano pa kaya when you're asked to speak in a lot of people? Okay, wait lang. Excuse me, wait. Sorry, nangate ang aking lalamunan. All right. I've been talking for 2 hours na pala, no? Okay, so, ayan, sila Noven, sila Renz, and Julia, Catherine, really good job, no? You're already on the way to becoming a speaker, a public speaker. Dito pa lang, beat your nervousness. Okay? Sa klase pa lang, you have to beat that already. No, there's no room for being nervous. Yes, you will get nervous, but when you are there talking, you'll realize na, okay, what I want to do is just share what I think. So, what is wrong with that? Ganon dapat, right? Prepare. Think positively. Use the power of visualization. This is, I remember when I was asked to host a very big event. Oh, grabe, I was so nervous, no? I was one of the main hosts na, no? I have so many hosting experience, but by then I was still getting nervous. You just have to visualize. Visualize what? Visualize mo how you would stand in front, no? Visualize mo yung intro mo, yung body. You visualize mo yung intro mo because later related siya sa next slide. But I visualize my intro and how I stand, and that's it. It's the power of visualization. Know that most nervousness is not visible. Hindi naman visible yung nervous feeling. So kahit gaano pa yan kalaki, it won't show unless you let it show. Okay? So it's not visible unless you let it. Do not expect perfection. Please do not expect perfection. There will never be a perfect um speaking speech, okay, or delivery. All right? Do not expect perfection. Otherwise, talagang lalamunin ka. You will be frustrated because, oh no, one after another, then nawala na yung focus mo. Okay? So, some advice, be at your best physically and mentally. As you're waiting to speak quietly, tighten and relax your legs, muscles, squeeze your hands together and release them. Okay? Please follow this if you're, at one point you're asked to give a speech. Use this lesson that we've had, save it, screenshot it, and so in the future you can use this. Take a couple of slow, deep breaths before you start to speak. Very important. Ano na to, tested, no? Work especially hard on your introduction. Ito na yung sinasabi ko. Once you get through it, you will be sailing smoothly the rest of the way. Promise, it works. Pag maganda yung introduction mo, you nailed it, then tuloy-tuloy na yan na smooth because umpisa pa lang, hindi ka na nagka-problema, then you already adjusted yourself to that stage, to the audience, then tuloy-tuloy na yan. Okay? Na-overcome mo na yung stage fright mo because you had a smooth intro, then hindi mo na iisipin yung ibang bagay. You will now go to the body of your speech, which is just very, smooth sailing. Lastly, concentrate on communicating with your audience rather than worrying about your stage fright. Okay? What do you know? You just have to share it. Okay? Any questions? No questions? That's our discussion for today. Yay! If no questions, please write your names in chat.